from there. And despite the fact that I know they didn't have any evidence, I've also known as a police officer that there are people who are innocent and yet find themselves in prison. And I've explained this typically in some of the interviews I've had, that if I were placed in custody for the period of the trial, I may not have been able to defend myself. And that's one lesson I like people to appreciate. I like the justice system to appreciate. And I said this because then my laptop, then my phones were going to be with the BNI. And once they were with the BNI, I wasn't able to get access, I wouldn't be able to get access to them. And I wouldn't be able to explain the context within which I said what they alleged I had said. And therefore, their word and evidence would have outweighed mine. And I may have gone to prison.
Even though you were innocent?
Even though I've been innocent. And they know I'm innocent. This is something that, this is how people go to prison innocently. They orchestrate it and deprive you of all the resources that you need, although the Constitution says that you must be provided with the opportunity and everything to defend yourself, they will find a way and contrive the situation in such a way that you will be denied. If they say that your phone, they have found something incriminating on it, it means you cannot have access to your phone.
Yeah.
And once you cannot have access to your phone, it means that you cannot defend yourself with information on the phone.
Right.
And they are accusing you
of something
that is on your phone.
And yet you can have access to it.
And yet you cannot have access to it. So you see how it did happen. If I may continue, I would like to also add that it requires a lot of vigilance. When you are dealing with the security agencies, when you are dealing with the intelligence agencies, you must be very, very vigilant. If you are not vigilant, you can be an innocent person and still go in. Because, I mean, they have, some of them may have different motivation.
Right.
Some of them may be working for reasons I don't want to talk about, okay? And their motivation may go beyond the normal motivation. So they want to do things to get promoted, to catch the eyes of somebody, etc., etc., etc. So they can contrive anything. A typical example, they came and seized my phones, and they claimed it was a court order. Listen carefully, they never showed me the court order. They only told me the court had given an order that my gadgets should be seized. Good. We had a lot of misunderstanding over that. Eventually, they took my laptop, my laptop and my phones away. My lawyer goes to them the next day to find out for them to show him or give him a copy of the order. They refused. They refused. We get to court the next day we prepare what we call the stay of execution or something.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to court only for the prosecution to tell us that they had already searched my gadgets and they had found something incriminating against me. Now listen carefully. They had found something incriminating against me. That was at the committee level, at the magistrate court. So I was very curious because I knew there was nothing incriminating. I mean, for me, I was not hiding anything. But once they said that, it meant that there was no way the court was going to reverse or even listen to it. They had searched it. So what would the court was not going to stay the execution. They had already done it. But it was a lie they told. I wouldn't say it was false. It was a lie they told. But I still kept my vigilance until the last day when they now had to finish with the committee proceedings and were transferring the case, committing the whole thing to the High Court. So they gave us, they produced a sheet of the exhibits that they were using, they were transferring to the court.
Okay.
So I quickly reached out to my lawyer, just wanting to find out, to look at the list and see whether my my gadgets,
the phone and the laptop,
were part of it. I discovered quickly within the court that my gadgets were not on me. So I quickly informed my lawyer, and he made a quick order for my gadgets to be returned.
Because it's not part of the exhibit.
It was not part of the exhibit. But do you know why it was not part of the exhibit? It was not part of the exhibit because they couldn't have come to me to request for my password to access it.
Okay.
Now, they did things to others in order to access theirs. Me, they could not do it to me, so definitely they could not access them. So because they could not access my phone, they had to return.
But how come they said they had searched it and they found it?
So that was the lie they told.
Okay.
So this tells you completely, and I'm challenging them with these kind of things. But they cannot come because what I've said is the truth. I will hardly tell a lie over some of these things. So they told a lie to the court. They deceived the court that they had searched it when they had actually not searched it. Eventually, my phones and my laptop were returned to me.
So assuming they didn't have passwords on it, then they would have entered it.
They would have entered it. And you know, if they had entered it, there was the possibility that they were going to flash all the information out of it. And if they did, it meant that even if they had returned the phones to me, I was going to have access to the information.
Yeah, to defend yourself.
To defend myself. This is the vigilance I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you're a police officer. A lot of lay people
with my 36 years in experience, and some of them I may have taught at detective school. Some of the DNI people I may have taught in detective school. So I understand the game more than them, except that they have power and authority more than me at the time. That was the only difference.